Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video I'm going to be doing the Nope Trope book tag. So this tag was originally made by Zoe's All Booked. I'll put a link to that in the description down below. I, however, was tagged by Lit Nana, and I'll put a link to her video in the cards right here. Go check it out. This is just covering some questions based on really popular tropes that you find, particularly in YA books. So first off, Eavesdropping with miscommunication. Name a book you heard great things about and expected to love but ended up hating. So unfortunately for this one, I'm gonna go with The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I actually kind of heard mix of both. I heard mostly great things about this, but I did have a few friends who did rant reviews on it, and unfortunately I ended up going on the rant review side. I actually did do a review for this in my Enemies to Lovers 5x5. I'll put a link to that right here if you want to go watch the entire review, but basically, I just didn't like how the enemies to lovers trope was handled in this story. To me, it felt like it was leaning more towards becoming a bully romance, and I don't really like those. Next question. Love triangles. Name a series where you can't pick your favorite book. So I'm gonna be completely honest, this is kind of a cop-out because in reality, I often have a favorite book of a series, one that's just my go-to or the one that I enjoy the most, and so it was very hard for me to find a series where I didn't have a favorite. So I ended up going with webcomics, actually. First out is Check Please by Ngozi Ukazu. I absolutely love this comic. I love the entirety of the story. It is so sweet and precious and wholesome, and even when it starts to get deep and a bit on the sensitive side, I still just absolutely love the story and the characters and how supportive they are of each other. So yeah, I can't choose a favorite between these series. Next question. Not Like Other Girls / Didn't Know I'm Beautiful. Name a book that has a pretty cover but was boring as hell. For this one, I'm going to be going with A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I loved this cover. It was incredibly gorgeous and was actually the thing that initially drew me in. However, the story, it was like 70% world building, which was mostly done via info dumping, and then maybe 20% plot and 10% romance. So I was just fairly bored throughout the story because it didn't feel like the book really was going anywhere. I read this book for my Dark Academia video, and I'll put a link to that right here if you want to go watch that review. Next up, All Consuming Love. Name a book that gave you a book hangover. Okay, so reading this question, I had no idea what book to pick for this. I don't think I've really had a book hangover for quite a while, so I actually went through my Goodreads and found where I had the biggest jump in time between finishing two books. And actually, after finishing The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson, I think it was like 2 weeks before I picked up another book and actually finished it. However, that being said, that book was the last book in the Harry Potter series, which is a emotional roller coaster ride plus a chonker, so there's also just the possibility it took me quite a while to read it. That being said, I finished this book in 6 hours, I think. Blasted through it because I was so desperate to finally have the answer to the mystery. On top of that, I just adored all of the characters throughout the story, so I wanted to see where they were going to end up. And then I found out there's going to be a fourth book, so that means we're going to get more of these characters, and I'm so excited for that. Next question. Douchebag Boyfriend. Name a book that took you a while to get into, but you ended up loving. For that one, I'm actually going to go with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I truly did adore this book, but the first 100 pages are a bit slow. It's definitely focusing on building up the story, the characters, explaining how the magic works in this. That first bit was a trial to get through. However, once I managed through it, I was in love with this story. Even then though, I still read this very slowly because I just wanted to absorb all of it. The writing is just magical and I didn't want to blast through it. I actually wanted to appreciate the story. So this probably took me like 3 weeks to read. Final question. Tell us about your favorite or least favorite trope. So I actually did an entire video reading books that were my favorite trope, which is Enemies to Lovers. I'll put a link to that here again. Go check that out if you really want to hear me talk about it. But I figured let's go on the opposite side, which is my least favorite trope. I wasn't really sure, honestly. When I first had this, I kind of looked up a few just to see like, oh, well, which one truly annoys me to no end. Although I do have quite a few, I'm not a big fan of anymore, particularly when it comes to YA fantasy stories, I feel. That's usually where you can find a lot of those big name tropes. The one that really just drives me insane is a love triangle where the two options are either the nice guy, boy next door, or the hunky bad guy. Why are those always the only two options? Why can't I have a guy who looks like a bad boy on the outside, but when he's got his perfect girl, is a sweet guy next door? That's what I want. That's what I love. And honestly, that's probably why I absolutely adore Redford Morgan in Get a Life, Chloe Brown, because he is that. All right, on that note, I am going to close this out. And of course, this is a tag, so I have to tag some people. Gonna be completely honest, I did not prep for this. So if you've already done this, sorry, no worries. Don't do it again. I'm gonna be tagging Kirsten's Corner, Lou Reading Things, Yasmin B Reading, Haley Hughes, and the Bookworm Trait. I will put a link to all of those people in the description down below. Go check them out. As always, thank you so much for coming to my channel today, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Bye! Thank you.